Good morning, YouTube viewers and subscribers. So on my table today, it's a surprise mail day video. Received a package in the mail about 2 days ago. It's been a rough couple of days, pretty busy, so I haven't had a chance to do this. Got a package in the mail today from a gentleman, very generous gentleman. His name is Mr. Sadat. He lives in Israel, and he purchased this engine from eBay, and he had it sent directly to my house for me to add to my video database and I guess my collection also. The only thing I know about this this engine that he sent is that it is an OS engine. Other than that, I know nothing else about it. Now, since this is from eBay, it brings me to a quick story I want to share with you. Now, we all know that buying used engines can be a crapshoot, regardless of where you go, especially on eBay. And it's not just because of the engines that can be kind of flaky, it's the sellers that can be really flaky too. So my quick story is, just a few days ago, earlier in this week, I saw an engine listed on eBay that I was somewhat interested in. So I click on it. There are only 4 pictures. The first 2 pictures are of one engine. The second 2 pictures are of another engine. So I'm like, okay, this fellow is a little confused. Both engines were pretty nice, but I was really kind of interested in the first 2 pictures. So I sent the seller a message saying, hey, did you realize that you've got, 2 different engines listed or shown in the pictures and it's only listed for the second engine? And he comes back, he's like, yeah, it was a mistake, accidental. I said, well, and in my first message I said, and if you have the first engine, and that's not the one that's in the title, I said, I'm interested in that. I'd like to purchase that engine if you've still got it. And he came back and he said, yeah, it was my mistake. I do have that engine. Make me an offer on it. So I did. I made based on those 2 pictures and no description, because the ad wasn't talking about that engine, I made what I thought was an extremely generous offer on that engine. Well, he comes back, nope, that's too cheap. I'm not going to do that. And I said, okay, fine, whatever. I said, I'm still interested in the engine. I said, you tell me what you think it's worth or what you're willing to take for it or whatever. We can work on it. We can negotiate a price because I'm interested in the engine. So I don't hear anything back. The next day I'm like, hey, I'm still interested in this engine. Let's negotiate a price. Nope, I'm just going to list it. I'm like, well, that's pretty stupid logic. I said, because you've got a buyer here that's interested in your engine, willing to work with you on a price, and you don't want to work with me and sell the engine. You'd rather just let it sit and have an invalid ad and then just repost it, take the time and effort to repost it. Makes no sense whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm not dealing with you because you're a flake. So anyway, you never know what you're going to come up with when you're buying eBay items. So as I've always said, the best thing to do is just look at the pictures extremely carefully, and if you have questions, ask those questions, and maybe you'll get a response, and maybe you'll actually talk to somebody reasonable. Not a guarantee though. So anyway, this box here is from eBay. It says here, and let's open this up and see what engine is inside this box. Alright, here we go. Okay, so the box, based on the color, excellent, is from the 2000s. This is what OS engines from the 2000s were boxed in, and it is, if what's inside this engine is what it says on the box, is an OS 46FX engine, which is very interesting because I just had a feature on this. I bought one of these engines back in December. So the thing that's interesting about this is, those of you that are in the know on OS FX series engines, is that historically there's been many claims about sleeve peeling issues on these engines. Now, that one I purchased in December did not have that issue, but I have worked on one that did have that issue, and I've read about many others. So it'll be interesting to see what the condition of this engine is. So let's engine. What else is in here? screws. Okay, so let's see here. We got the exhaust. Looks like a 873 exhaust. I believe that's the stock exhaust that comes with this engine, and our exhaust screws, so that's good. Ooh, ooh, that carb is completely locked up, and this spinner is only spinning on there. So let's see if we can pull the spinner off here real quick. So I got one screw, so it should be no problem. Looks like I'll take a look at this engine once I get this spinner off. Oh wow, interesting. Oh, that's the, never mind. Oh wow, oh wow. That engine is seized up totally. So it looks like we got no high-speed needle for this engine. Screw heads don't look like they've ever been touched before. I feel okay. Overall, this engine looks like it's in pretty good shape. I mean, obviously it's got, since this is aluminum, that's not rust. I guess I'm kind of being a dumbass here and I should zoom in a bit. So, I don't believe that this is rust because I'm pretty sure this is an aluminum part here. Wait a minute. Let's see here. Maybe not. I don't know. But obviously this engine is... that little bit of movement is simply just this drive hub. That's not the crankshaft at all, so I think I can pull this hub off. Okay, yeah, this is just really gummed up. Let's see if I can get that washer off here, that spacer. Yeah, this is really gummed up. It's probably just a situation where this engine is just really gummed up. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do a look inside of this engine until I go out and get my heat gun. And I think what I want to do is with this is, instead of, well, I probably will do my standard process, which is put oil, a couple drops of oil in there. First thing would be to get this thing going, barrel moving, so I could actually get fluid down in a crankshaft. But I don't know, maybe I'll just start tearing this thing apart and heat as I go, do something a little bit different. But anyway, that was just a quick look at this mail day surprise. I'll probably make a separate video for the tear down and heating up and loosening up of this engine. So anyway, Mr. Sadat, thank you very much for this OS engine. This is going to be extremely interesting and fun to run. It'll be interesting to see the condition of the sleeve of this when I get this thing torn apart. So thank you very much for this engine. Look forward to a look inside, because I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to have to replace bearings on this. I'll have to check when I get this all apart if I've got bearings on hand. And then we'll do some run videos of this thing. I've got other FX series engines, so at least in the interim I'll be able to use one of my high-speed needles there, so that's not a big deal. And I'll put it in my ultrasonic and get it all cleaned up too. So again, thank you Mr. Sadat for the engine, and thank you all for watching.